Hi, everyone. I'm your host, Chelsea, today, here with Barbara and Mary, and we call this Thoughts on Thursday. And it's a small gathering of people that like to come every week, but we are sharing it and liking it to grow, and everyone is welcome. We just record for a half hour, and um, welcome, Julie. Welcome to Thoughts on Thursday. We're going to talk today about, we're going to share each of our stories about magical witnessing over the past week, synchronistic things, or just seeing the magic for the first time in the everyday or the extraordinary. Um, I can share first. I was at the Reconnective Healing Training Program this past weekend in Chicago, and at the end of it all, we went out to dinner on Tuesday evening with Cecilia and Joan and all the other volunteers. There were seven of us, and me and Christy, the other mentor, we were in charge of picking the place, but we know you don't have to put much thought into it, and it's kind of just like go with the flow. If you're thinking of a place, go do it, because it's amazing how we always end up at the most beautiful experience. And we ended up at this perfect restaurant on the third floor. We sat out on like what was like a balcony patio, and it had twinkle lights and all the skyscrapers around us. We had the most beautiful drive there. We saw, which I think represents the city of Chicago a lot of murals, a lot of graffiti murals, um, big buildings, and I even saw a little rat running down the sidewalk. So I thought, oh, I'm getting the whole Chicago experience. And uh, about when our Uber driver was getting ready to drop us off, we knew we were close. And oh my gosh, of course, there's this building, and right above the door it says 333. So I thought in my mind, we're gonna have to walk down that kitty corner of that little block and go, have a photo. But after our beautiful meal, we all walked in outside, and not only did that corner of that building have an entrance with 333, but the whole side of the building had like the most mega 333, like in blue lights, to advertise their little address or whatever. But it was just like, of course, you know? And Cecilia took a picture of it with all of us, a little selfie. I'm still waiting for it. And she said she's having trouble loading it. I think maybe it just maybe zapped with energy. I don't know. I did end up taking a video, but I'm really anxious to see that picture. It was just a video for Gordy to say of like, of course, honey, when you know it. But that it was just so magical, and it's just um so many different things over the weekend. But I don't want to go on and on. I want to hear from one of you guys. Welcome, iPhone. Now,
I want to ask what 333 means to you.
oh, 333 to me means has a lot to do with um reconnective healing, and it's the price we charge for. We offer reconnective healing, but we also offer something called the personal reconnection, and we charge 333. But it has a lot of meaning for me. It shows up in magical places. I chose it to be my license plate and all kinds of things like that. I um got my passport because I really wanted to share reconnective healing in Australia. And wouldn't you know it, the last three digits of my passport are 333, and on and on. So it's just a special number for me. just like maybe we all have maybe different numbers, and that's just a cute, to me, 333 is just a way for the universe, which is me, to communicate to me. But I wanted to say welcome to the lovely gal we have in her vehicle, and her name's iPhone. And I was just wondering if if we recognize her. I'm sure somebody knows her by name.
Oh yeah, that's Diana, and she's been here the last couple weeks when you've been gone, Chelsea. So Chelsea,
Okay, so hi
Diana.
Diana. I'm
Yeah.
great.
And
Great to
Julie's also in her phone. So thanks both of
Right.
you for joining us.
yeah, yeah. Go
Yeah.
ahead, Durin.
Well, I had a little 333 experience yesterday myself, Chelsea.
Oh,
Um, I'll lead up to that. So yesterday I went on this beautiful hike, um, Mill Creek hike in Montana, and with a friend of mine, a new friend.
I
And
live I live in the subdivision Mill Creek.
see, so um, part of the energy going into this hike was number one, we were aware of um, that we weren't in particularly great shape. And a little bit of it's because we haven't worked out a lot, but we're also moving through space and time. I don't want to use the A word. Um, so we were aware of our limitations. Let's just put it that way. So we chose this hike that she had been on before, and I wanted to go on it because she said she saw a pika when she went on this hike before. And I just think pikas are magical. And I have one as a screensaver, so I see them, not a screensaver, but a back uh, desktop back, whatever photo that cycles through. Whenever I see that pika, I'm like, oh man, I want to see a pika. So we go on this hike and it's flat. We chose it because it was flat and there was pikas. So a little ways, and as we were going into the hike, it's kind of a long drive, and we were just noticing things. And I noticed this one horse in particular for whatever reason. It was just kind of by itself, just grazing. Kind of felt like it was like camping with its owners. So we moved along. We go on our hike, and we hear this little noise, little kind of a squeaky call, and we both stopped in our tracks, and we went, "That was a pika." She goes, "Yeah, that was totally a pika." Like, yay! Check that off. Didn't see it, but we heard it. It called out. So we kept going, and we come to this crossing. It's really not much of a crossing. It's just through kind of a creek, and there were these sort of logs kind of thrown over it that you could walk over. But we stopped. We're like, do we want to go any further? I said, I don't know. I think I could kind of go for turning back, just being realizing our limitations. And I said, I can't believe that I'm looking at these logs. I mean, a few decades ago, I would have just gone across the logs. Like, this wouldn't even be a discussion. So we spent a little time there, and she goes, "Yeah, me too. Let's turn around." She pulls out her phone, looks at the time, and it's 3:33. So we thought, well, yeah, guess we're turning around and going back now. So we went back and got in the car. We were driving down the road, and this horse and rider come trotting up the road. It's the same horse that I noticed. There were a lot of horses, but this horse I noticed in particular because it was closest to the road. I said, "Hey, that's that horse that I noticed earlier." And she goes, "What? No, no, no," because I didn't say anything. So we both love horses. We both have horses. So she stops the car and she engages this gal that's riding the horse. And I noticed this horse is huffing and puffing. I noticed this horse is older. And this horse is kind of like, I don't know how much more of this I can do. And so my friend kept talking to the owner. She was, just a young gal riding her horse. And so we talked to her for a little while, and I just watched the horse like kind of catch his breath. I noticed that he felt seen, and I was just noticing a lot of stuff while my friend was talking to the gal. So anyway, we stopped talking. We started on our way, and I started telling my friend what I was noticing about the horse, and she goes, "I know, that's why I kept talking. I wanted that horse to get a little breather." And we looked in our rearview mirrors, and she was walking the horse. at least the kind of as far as we could see. So we just thought that was kind of cool because the horse, we were able to notice the horse's limitations because we were in that space. Limitations of moving through time and just physical limitations. But the gal on the horse, it was obvious she was not in touch with it at all. She just assumed the horse was like her. Yeah, this horse, he's young, he's ready to go up the hill. So that was kind of a couple of interesting synchronicities all in one little trip. And for me, that's neuroplasticity. When you can notice stuff like that and you're seeing just the kind of magical and everyday things, that's neuroplasticity to me.
Yeah, I'm just staring behind you, Duran, because your wall is shining pink, but there's this little splash of yellow. And it's just funny
It
because
does look kind of cool, huh?
I was in the car earlier listening to just this country song that no one's heard of. And one of the lyrics that caught my ear, it said pink and yeller. But I
Yeah.
remember that I was like pink and yeller. But
Well, here
it's
it
like,
is.
yeah. Go ahead, Julie. Welcome.
So I was all week trying to think about things that for me are, either synchronistic or uh, interesting. What I came up with was interesting, something that I experienced. I've started going to a chiropractor who I like a lot and who does modalities that I uh, appreciate. And one of the things she does is muscle testing, and I'm sure you guys have heard of that. And but she did this new thing for me because I she talks to my body. I've been having a lot of back issues, like Mary, yeah. And so I like her because she's she's not your typical chiropractor. So she stands behind me, like, for example, and she'll put her hands on my shoulders and she'll just kind of do this. She'll like play the piano on my shoulders. I go, what are you doing? She goes, well, I'm talking to your body. I'm asking your body what, a question like, where is this a problem? Or, so I go, okay, fine, just do your thing. And so anyway, this last appointment I had, she said, I'm gonna do an emotional unwind. And I'm curious to know if anybody has ever heard of that, because she said, well, probably nobody else has heard of it. And she had all these vials of liquid inside, and she did this whole series of tests and stuff, and also with the muscle testing. And what she was saying is that it was going to unwind deep emotional issues that I have, and I said, well, am I going to notice a difference afterwards? She goes, you can. She says, it would take it would be all different sort of things you might notice, or some people feel nothing. And I thought, well, that sounds very familiar to me, like a RH session. So really, that's all I want to share, only that I've just been on alert sort of to see if I've noticed any changes. And she says it takes a few days. So if you're going to notice something generally. And so that was my interesting experience, my sort of woo-woo experience with my chiropractor. And but it was neat and I liked it.
Yeah. Yes, good story. I like how Anka put in the chat that she likes 777.
I didn't see that.
I like that Anka doesn't think that she has to like 333. She has her own numbers. Because I think it is. I mean, I think 333 has a big meaning, but like I was saying, I think I just in a lot of ways for me, it's just a way for me to listen and pay attention to certain things. Go ahead, Barbara.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I think that for me, I also like 333, but just a series of numbers. I notice like if I happen to look at the clock and there's a series of numbers, 1111 a lot of times. In fact, one time I was doing a session with somebody, she walked out and it was 1111 and she's like, "Oh yeah, this is perfect." So, but my kind of magical moment during the week was I was sitting on the couch earlier this week reading Scientific American magazine. And it was open kind of like this, both pages were open in front of me. And on one side, it had some books that they were promoting. I think it was Princeton Press or something like that. And then on the other page, it had some puzzles that they were doing. So I kind of glanced at the book page first, and then went over and started doing the puzzles. And then I picked up my phone to go to the website to look at the answers for the puzzles. And when I picked up my phone, I noticed that I had had a text, and Katina had texted me, and I was looking at the text, and it was a quote by Albert Einstein, about just how the universe is just an illusion, and he was so remarkable. And the interesting thing was on the one page that talked about the Princeton books, there was two books by Albert or about Albert Einstein and his whole readings. One of them and two photos, one when he was a younger guy and one was when he was an older guy. And so I saw the quote and then I looked down again and re-saw the pictures of him, and it was just like such a synchronicity that and it got me thinking about him. He was such an unusual thinker. He really thought outside the box, totally. And yet he was so cruel to his wife. And I have trouble reconciling that, and it kind of makes me sad. So that's what I was thinking of when I first glanced at his picture. And then I went over and did the puzzles, but I just thought that was kind of cool timing that there he was. And
Yeah.
then there's the quote by him. So that's my share.
Go ahead, Mary.
Well, what Barbara just said reminded me of something that happened yesterday when she was talking about cruelty to the wife. And that we're living in this world of stormy seas right now, and even though we know that there is love and divine in every soul, it's hard to remember that when we observe the roles that some people are playing. Well, yesterday, Barb and I did an exchange with Reconnective Healing, and it was really very lovely. I had a lot of beautiful imagery, and as always, but the last thing I got was remember all the tools in your toolkit. And it stopped me and it came to me, namaste. And you probably all know that namaste means the divine in me greets the divine in you. And if I can remember that, every time I see something I don't approve of, or someone's doing something I don't like, or I hear something that triggers me, I can go to namaste, and that phrase puts me back into that miracle moment when the divine in me greets the divine in them, and the rest falls away.
Yeah, beautiful. Go ahead, Doreen.
Yeah, Mary, when you were sharing that, when you said and the rest falls away, I went, but sometimes the rest doesn't fall away. And so, and I came across a very interesting perspective that helps me for those times when the rest has it sticks and it has a hard time falling away. It was suggested, this is by somebody who has lots of wisdom regarding human behavior and mind control. And that this is very interesting. Really, if you can see, for him, the highest level of seeing people, one of the highest levels, is to see people as just a bundle of reasons. So if Einstein is abusing his wife, there's just a bundle of reasons there that we're not privy to. And that's it. Like, end of story. It's just he's a bundle of reasons, and now I'm gonna go on with my life. But Einstein's favorite quote of mine is that, of course, it has to do with imagination. And it was something like the most important thing is imagination, even over the knowing of anything. I like the way that he worded that. It's the same thing as the universe is just, a playground or whatever, but I'm still sticking with imagination is awesome and good for my neuroplasticity.
I think that imagination is your 333 and namaste is my 333. And Chelsea's is 333.
Yeah. It's so it's like maybe Einstein brought through something extremely valuable to mankind, but he was still human and not perfect and had faults. And that's just how it has to be down here, I mean, maybe that was the life. I imagine if he had another lifetime where he could have improved on that and been a more pure in love person, that would, but
Yeah, I
because
agree.
being mean to your wife or being cruel or all that in any way probably is a reflection of what he thinks about himself deep down inside.
Yeah, that very well could be, and that makes sense. And in spite of that, though, he had such a great outlook on so many things and has helped, I think, a lot of us really get
Yeah, maybe his
past.
wife needed some imagination in who she was paired up with.
So, and I feel like that's not even my place to deal with. So
Uh-huh.
just appreciate him
But
for what he offered us.
let's hear what Renee has to share.
So I had a little bit of a synchronistic surprise, which arrived when my phone rang a couple days ago, and someone in the intercom said to me that she had a delivery of flowers. So I went, really? Flowers? Oh, that's interesting, and no idea who they might have been sent by. But as it turned out, the person who sent the flowers to me did not know my phone number. So she couldn't give the delivery people my phone number, and she was kind of sending them with the hope that they would arrive. And her phone number was listed on the card that was attached to the floral arrangement. And I wanted to call her to thank her for the gift. And I looked up her phone number, and I had this phone number in my book, and I called her, and we did have actually a very lengthy conversation. She's ailing and has some brain injuries and heart condition, and is someone I don't really see very frequently, but I was so moved by the fact that she, was so thoughtful and kind and sent this absolutely gorgeous flower arrangement, which was really beyond anything I could have expected and never really would have expected. So, sometimes what may appear to somebody to be kind of insignificant, or to them it's not really a big deal, is like amazing. It's so special and so heartfelt. And it's not just, oh, I was thinking of you for the new year, happy new year. It was, I was totally shocked and very surprised and very grateful. And, you know, I'm just finding more and more now, for whatever reason, I don't know why, but that I notice things that are like the smallest. They may appear to be the most insignificant things to most people who would never ever notice. But like today, I was coming out of the grocery market, and the woman who was, cashing everything out, handed me the cash with her hands open and her palms open, outstretched toward me, and kind of very gently presented the change to me. And I said, honestly, I've never experienced anything quite like this before. I said, you have the most lovely, gentle, gracious manner that sometimes they just kind of toss it at you, and that doesn't feel very good. I said, you're so thoughtful and so considerate, and how you just did that. And I noticed that. And it means something to me. So it kind of makes those, what we gloss over sometimes as those minutiae of the day, it made it special. So I think something's changing in my way of perceiving the world and life. And I'm sort of tuning into these small magical moments, because sometimes those magical moments are very important. And if we miss them, then we kind of miss the nuts and bolts of what really matters. It's how we treat each other. I said, kindness is really felt. I said, I really felt your kindness through that moment, through that exchange. And anyway, it was a lovely moment. It made a difference in the morning anyway. So there we
Yeah.
go.
I'm 100% with you, Renee, with what you were trying to explain about how your awareness has changed. And it's just, I am exactly that with you. And I was playing around with it, like a title for today's program before we really just simplified it. And I was thinking, what's next? But when I say that, I mean, like, what's next in the context of being aware of like the littlest things that take just a second to notice. It's like what's next really isn't like big things that take 3 years to accomplish, or where you'll be, in your career or your housing or whatever. It's like what's next in like the tiniest little thing that like sparkles and shines in your day, that is just like, it's like being more in tune to the communication, and then you just receive more. Go ahead, Billy, and then we'll probably have to wrap it up.
What I like about the topic today is that we were let know in advance to look for those good things. And one of the things that I try to pay attention to and sometimes remind people of is that what we focus on, we get more of. So if we are out there looking for those good things, looking for those synchronicities, looking for those acts of kindness, then more of that comes into our world. So I really like that this has been brought to our awareness.
I know, Billy, exactly. It's like once you believe and know and have experienced the magic, and then it's more magic, and less of the fear. When I was also thinking of the topic, what next, I thought about people who hear that and they think of it could be a fear thing, and they live their whole life. Oh my God, what's next? What awful thing is going to happen next? What fearful thing do I have to be afraid of right now that's going to happen to me? But, 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 but to be in the just what's next, and we know it's going to be magic because we've touched that magic and we're looking for it, and it's just beautiful that way.
Yeah. What you focus on, you get more of.
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
thank you, everyone. We will do this again in 1 week. Thanks
joining
for
us,
all your
everyone.
shares and and texts into the chat and everything. Love you all.
Bye-bye. Continue to
Bye.
look for the magic.
Yes.
See ya.
Bye.